Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Since this will be the last episode of year 2016, we decided to do a comprehensive review of the Indian economy 2016-17, as well as how the economy would sort of pan out in 2017-18. So this year, broadly, we've seen global headwinds taking deeper roots. The Chinese economy was a big cause for worry in the beginning of the year. There was a kind of big financial markets, sharp fall in the financial markets in China, which caused immense worry to the bulk of the emerging economies as well as the global economy. Because China today indeed incrementally produces the largest share of GDP, global GDP. The US, the European Union, Japan were throughout the year very tepid. IMF has reviewed downwards global GDP growth rates. India is not insulated from that. India has domestically had its own set of problems. And one of the key problems India is facing today is lack of revival in private investment. Another big problem India has faced, which Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has spoken about, is the fact that banks are hugely saddled with problem assets. Some say of the order of 10 lakh crores or maybe 13-14% of the outstanding assets. Banks have not been able to lend because of that. Banks need more capital. One of the things that demonetization is supposed to address is to get more liquidity into banks and give enough fiscal space for the government to recapitalize banks. So to discuss all these issues, we have two eminent economists with us today. Dr. Narendra Jadhav, who is a member of Rajya Sabha. He is a trained economist. He's a former member of Planning Commission, author of several books, was also Vice Chancellor of Pune University. And we have with us...
Not to mention RBI.
He was Chief Economist, Chief Economist at RBI, which was his earlier avatar. And we have with us another very eminent economist, Professor Arun Kumar, who retired from JNU last year. But we have him here because he is probably... He's done the most extensive work on India's black economy, and he's widely recognized as somebody who's really studied the innards of India's black economy. So the right person to have with us. Welcome to our show, gentlemen. So tell us, Mr. Jadhav, I'll start with you.
Please.
How do you review the economy 2016-17, and how do you see it panning out in the next financial year?
Well, at one level, Indian economy is the fastest growing country in the world today, 7% plus. But at the same time, the job creation has been very slow. The manufacturing sector is stagnating. Small sector is hurting. Exports have been declining. Inflation has been contained. But even before the demonetization initiative was taken, while the economy was growing at a high rate of 7% plus, there were several problems. And now, at the same time, there are a lot of global imponderables. You mentioned some of them, but two more that I want to add to the list that you have said. One is that there is a big uncertainty about the oil prices. Oil prices are expected to cross $60 per barrel. From a very low level, they are rising, and the future prospects are not known. At the same time, there is also uncertainty about the US Federal Reserve interest rate policy. On 14th December, after a decade, they have revised, they have raised the interest rate, and this had to be factored in. As we go into the future with the change of presidency, with the US President Donald Trump coming in, there are a lot of uncertainties about the future policies that would be followed. So there are a lot of
even Trump might get more protectionist than earlier presidents.
That is what is being talked about.
Okay.
Against this backdrop, we had a historic development of demonetization, and two historic developments took place in our country in 2016. One was, of course, passage of GST, Goods and Services Tax. And the second one, what happened in November, we all know about that, demonetization. These two are going to shape the things to happen in the year 2017. These two, each one of them is a historic move, and that is going to have very important implications for future. In fact, I happen to believe that demonetization and the number of measures which have been taken along with that, demonetization, voluntary cash disclosure scheme, restrictions on gold holdings, encouragement to digital payments, proposed GST, and incentives now given to the small traders, all of these together is going to completely change the way Indian economy has been working.
Okay.
Indian economy will not be the same as it was so far in the year 2017, and it would change for the better.
Okay,
That's my perception.
we'll come to some of the other details. Professor Arun Kumar, you have been commenting on demonetization, post-demonetization economy over the last 1 month. I've heard you out in so many TV channels. Please tell us the impact this year and in the next financial year.
Right. So, as both of you have said, the economy is doing very well till November 8th, and suddenly after that, with demonetization, there's been a crisis that has come into the Indian economy, especially for the unorganized sector, for the poor, for the farmers, and so on. And that has also translated into a crisis for the organized sector, because the demand there has fallen, the discretionary expenditures have fallen, etc. So for the first time, the luxury car market, which actually doesn't pertain to the poor, which actually is a discretionary demand, and people who pay in check, even they have reduced their demand. So in other words, the economy has suddenly taken a break, and it is going down. Second, as you pointed out, is that the international situation is very uncertain, given that Donald Trump is coming, the Fed rates may fall, and that may lead to outflow of capital.
Increase, Fed rates may increase.
Increase Fed rate, and that therefore the outflow of capital from India may increase. So in other words, there are two great uncertainties, as both of you have pointed out, within which the year is ending. And that is what is setting the ground for the next year. So first thing is the budget has to be prepared. Now, when the budget has to be prepared, and if the data is uncertain, then making the budget becomes very difficult. And that's where I think the finance minister will face enormous problem as to how to formulate the budget. What is happening is that the fiscal deficit may rise. Even though it's expected that the black economy may be tame, but I don't think much of the black economy will be tame, and therefore it's not that the tax collection would rise. But if the economy goes down, as has happened on the 15th of December, the data that came for advanced tax collection, 40 companies, large companies have reported lower profits. So if profits fall, tax collection would fall. On the other hand, given the crisis that the unorganized sector faces, the poor in the rural areas face, you'll have to increase expenditures for them. So therefore, the fiscal deficit would tend to rise. Now, if that happens, then capital expenditures may actually be cut back. You know, and because the private sector is cutting back its investment, it's
so you're saying instead of the government was expecting that demonetization will give them huge benefits to increase capital expenditure.
Yes.
You mean in the medium term it could be the reverse?
I think it could be the reverse for the following reason, that as the fiscal deficit rises, the government is very sensitive to what the international agencies say about the fiscal deficit. So they want to cut it back. Now they can't cut it back where the poor are already hurting on the social sector expenditures. So they may cut it back on capital expenditures, which would be the exact opposite of what needs to be done. But given the macro situation, that will be a problem. Second is the balance of payment will be a problem, because people have lost, currency has lost credibility. So people are shifting towards dollar and towards gold. So more inflow of gold may take place, and people shifting to dollars would mean that the price of the rupee would fall vis-a-vis the dollar. Secondly, as was said, that
there is an estimate that rupee might be 72 by some big bankers.
So 72 is one estimate, but it could be, you know, whatever it turns out, because petroleum goods imports will also rise, given that the petroleum prices
and the oil prices are hardening.
Oil prices are hardening, so petroleum prices. So therefore, the import bill would rise, but exports would not correspondingly rise, because the Indian economy, the industry is facing a deficit of profit, and therefore they may not be able to export more. So the balance of payment will be a problem. So what was a good macroeconomic situation before November 8 in terms of fiscal deficit, in terms of inflation, and in terms of the balance of payment, that is deteriorating. And within that context, when the budget is made, I think the budget will have a lot of constraints in terms of what it can do. And that's why the prospect for 2017 at the moment is not very good. And this currency shortage as a result of this demonetization is likely to last for 7 to 8 months. Most estimates are that people are hoarding currency, and therefore even if RBI prints currency, they are not going to be able to fulfill that for 7 to 8 months. And therefore the recessionary conditions are setting in. You know, when investment declines, unemployment declines, that is what recessionary
so
conditions
you're
all
saying
about.
the recessionary conditions setting in.
Setting in.
So Mr. Jadhav, can you respond to some of the points that he's making?
Of course, I would love to.
I'll just two data points I would like to give you. Today there's a story in the Indian Express which gives details of point of sale, machines, and which grew month after month, 33,000 crore January to October, it was 51,000. There's a 50% fall in sales through point of sale machines. It's huge. So, and some states have already started saying that their revenues are falling. They're estimating fall in revenues. So
May I respond now? Yes. To what you have said and what
the fiscal situation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I almost completely disagree with the assessment made by my friend here. I do not think that the demonetization is going to turn the good macroeconomic situation into bad. First of all, macroeconomic situation was not good before demonetization, and it is not going to get worse. What is going to happen is that
So you admit that it
be,
was not good before?
Yes, that has to be reckoned with. But what is important is that with demonetization, there would be adverse effect on the Indian economy. There's no doubt about that. But that would be purely a short-term effect. I would imagine that for the last quarter of this year, 2016, there would be a dip. The first quarter of 2017 would also, there would be a dip. So for the year as a whole, if you look at the financial year 16-17, there would be a fall in GDP by 1 percentage point. But
that's your estimate.
That is my estimate. There are people who are saying RBI is saying only half a percentage point. Some people are saying 2 percentage point, 3 percentage point decline. I am saying that there would be a modest 1 percentage point decline in the GDP. That will be in the short run. Immediately in the second half, I think that in the
second half of 2017.
No, I'm saying that beginning of the financial year 2017-18, that is April 1st onwards, there would be positive signs. Why would that happen? It will happen because of two reasons. Fiscal deficit going down, I disagree. I'll tell you why. Going up. I disagree with that. I'm saying that there would be, in fact, see, there are two things going to happen. One is what is happening in the banking system and what is happening in the government revenues. Let's talk about both of them. We all know that very large amount of cash has come into the banks, 13.5 lakh crore and so on. Now, banks are flushed with funds now. At the same time, it is historically seen that wherever there is a larger incidence of black money, inflationary pressures are higher. To the extent that we make a hit on the stock of black money, inflationary pressures would be abated. Now, if inflationary pressures are abated and the banks are flushed with money, the combination of two suggests to me that there would be a sharp increase in a sharp decline, reduction in interest rate. I predict that in the next 4 months, there would be 1.5 percentage point decline. No, let me complete. 1.5 percentage point decline in the interest rate. 1 percentage point decline means, for example, in housing loans, it means 15% increase in their purchasing power. 15% decline in EMI, and then it's 15% increase in their purchasing power.
What about demand depression?
So what will happen is that the demand depression...
Is interest rate reduction enough to increase demand?
Demand depression is going to take place in this quarter and the next quarter. By the time the interest rates come down, and I hope that happens faster, and I think it will, that will give a very big fillip to manufacturing sector and to SMEs. And that is where major job creation also takes place. So that is one part. So I do not think the revival is going to take a longer time. It will happen sooner rather than later. Now let's talk about the fiscal deficit. I believe that the fiscal deficit is not going to rise because depending on the outcome of this voluntary cash disclosure, so you're confident that the
this
I'm confident
cash disclosure
lot of money is going to come in.
give a big
Right,
revenue booster.
right.
Huh?
At the same time, movement towards the digital payments also means greater revenue for the government. So government revenues are also going to get a big boost.
Yeah.
And with the big boost coming there, I think in the budget, not only if the decision is taken to keep the same fiscal deficit that was expected for this year, for the next year, there would be enough room to discretionary spending increase, including capital expenditure.
Okay, I take your point. So, Professor Arun Kumar, respond to
Interest
two, three
rates,
things that he said. One is one is your estimate of GDP deceleration,
Right.
and whether we'll have a big revenue upside through this IDS scheme. Yeah.
Right. So, when we think about the interest rate, the money that is deposited in the banks is only temporary because people are withdrawing it. People had this stock of money, and I would say that bulk of this money that is coming in is actually from businesses. Businesses hold bulk of the cash for their working capital, and they will need it. So, therefore, that money may come in, but only temporarily, and as the new currency is coming out, that go back. Not only that, because of hoarding, more may go out than actually is coming. Because people are hoarding, banks
Cash.
are complaining that cash is not circulating, the 2,000 rupee notes are not coming back, the 100 rupee notes are not coming back, and that's why the shortage continues in spite of the RBI saying that we have printed 5.5 lakh crores of new currency, etc. So therefore, my suspicion is that there is going to be no excess cash with the banks because of which they can cut their interest rate. So that's not. Second is that even if interest rate is cut, the point is it does not lead to higher investment because as we've seen in the case of US or Eurozone, etc., even when interest rates are close to zero, in a situation where demand is not there, when capacity utilization is low, investment does not take place. What is called the accelerator in the economics terms, accelerator does not act. And therefore, there is nothing which suggests that even if interest rate falls by 1%, and in a recession, interest rates fall. Interest rates always fall, but they don't lead to an increase in investment.
So you think that private investors will also wait for clarity on the post-demonetization phase?
Yes, they are already waiting. One investor told me that we are now going month to month. But when you go month to month, investment is a long-term phenomena. It's not a short-term phenomena. Therefore, investment is all getting postponed. And especially because the capacity utilization was already down to 75%, and that has probably fallen to about 50%. When the capacity utilization is as low as this, investment would not take place. So in other words, this interest rate, even if it is cut, and I don't think it will be cut, because the banks do not have time to lend, banks do not have time for anything else. As a policy, it may be reduced, but it will not lead to a boost in investment. And therefore, the decline in the economy is going to be very sharp. It's not going to be 1 or 2%. It's going to be at least 5 to 6% decline, and possibly recessionary conditions are taking hold, in which case the revenue boost will not be there, and therefore the revenue will fall. And as I said, expenditures will have to rise because the poor people, the unorganized sector, the farmers are in distress. So you'll have to increase expenditures there. And if you increase expenditures, the fiscal debt will rise. So
can I ask you both, just one question, sharp question. Assuming that the government gets a revenue upside from the income voluntary declaration scheme.
Yeah, so I'm coming to that.
So suppose they get a revenue upside of say 1.5 lakh crores or something thereabout.
I
now,
don't
should the government use that to recapitalize banks, which is most critical, or should it spend it on other physical and social infrastructure?
To raise demand, I think they should spend it on the physical and the other infrastructure because the demand is what's collapsed. So that's a more important thing than this.
Than recapitalizing banks.
But I would also say that banks are going to actually face further crisis because the NPAs are going to rise. Because the profitability is hit. Farmer is unable to repay because he's not getting cash. Industry
small
is hit.
sector.
So the NPA is going to rise further rather than decline. So even if government tries to recapitalize by 1.5 lakh crore, that's not going to solve the problem of the banks. So therefore, in a sense, the banking system is going into a crisis. Investment is declining. Unemployment is increasing. And this is what recessionary conditions are all about. So inflation will definitely fall because in a recessionary situation, inflation falls. But that is not a positive sign because incomes have contracted more. So the real wages have fallen. And when real wages fall, then you have a problem of the economy going further into recession.
Mr. Yadav, can you just respond to
respectfully
his point that in the medium term, all these indicators actually will decline rather than improve?
No, I completely disagree with that. Respectfully, I do not share the overly pessimistic projections that my friend has given here. First of all, let's talk about...
You think they're overly pessimistic, is it?
Overly, extraordinarily pessimistic.
Because a lot of economists are making the same argument.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has the right to say what they want to, what they believe in. And I respect what his view is. But I would expect him to respect mine as well.
Sure.
What I'm saying is that there would be a coming down, but there should be a V-shaped recovery. Let me explain how. You were talking about bank problems. The large amount of money that has come into the banks, people are not going to withdraw it. Even if we take your argument that people will withdraw it, then that should increase the discretionary spending. So, there is a sort of contradiction in what you are saying. I am saying that large amount of money coming into the banks means that banks, government getting a lot of money, banks getting a lot of money, this will pave the way for lowering the interest rate. What has happened, Venu, is that the downward revision cycle of interest rates started in India in the year January 2015. From January 2015 until now, December 2016, how much has been the reduction in the policy interest rates? It has been 175 basis points.
But
that's a very large increase. Let me finish, sir.
But has investment risen as a result?
No, let me explain. Why has not that happened? Out of this 175 basis point reduction that has taken place, banks have passed on the decline in the interest rate to depositors. Now, this is creating a problem, whereas the decline in the lending rate has been very small.
So why have banks not done it?
Banks, their excuse is that they have large amount of NPAs, and that is why.
So that's the crux of the problem,
right.
no?
Now,
that post-demonetization, that doesn't get solved.
But that
rises.
that does get solved. I'll tell you how. Today, 13.5 lakh rupees of resources banks are getting. They have all a lakh crore they are getting.
Yeah.
And what is the cost of raising these funds? These are all not for spending money. Money which was lying here and there is also coming back.
No, I agree with you that interest rates can be brought down.
No,
but what about the top 10 industrial houses who owe 8 lakh crores? How will they repay them money? That's a big
but that is a separate issue. That is a separate issue.
But that's what causing the NPA stickiness, no?
Boss, when the banks are flushed with so much funds, they will be, and the government getting more revenues, there would be, the bank capitalization program is going on. It will get a big boost. In fact, the additional money that they get can also be used for taking care of the shortfall in GST. That is another major
I agree with you. How do existing NPAs get resolved?
No, what I'm saying is that Reserve Bank will have to concentrate, and I believe they are doing that now, on transmission effect of the earlier decline in the interest rate. Policy rates.
That one agrees with you. They'll bring down
With
interest
that,
rates. But what happens to existing NPAs?
So existing NPAs can be taken. See, then it goes back into the political argument that people have taken their money and they have ran away. Malya effect, and you're taking poor people's money to deposit in the bank.
No, I'm purely asking the technical question. What happens to existing NPAs?
Technically, banks can recapitalization process which is on will get a big boost now with the additional money that is coming into the system. With that, banks in future will have no excuse but to reduce interest.
I agree completely agree with you.
Now, reduction of the interest rate.
Yeah.
He is saying that even if the interest rates
we assume that interest rate will reduce. We completely agree with you.
Right.
But I am asking Mr. Arun Kumar, what happens to the existing stock of massive NPAs, problem assets, which 14-15% of outstanding banks
cannot use the money that's coming in to its coffers to underwrite the NPAs, because that's somebody's money. I mean, if I deposit the money in the bank, it's my money, and bank cannot use that to underwrite the NPAs. NPAs have to be sorted out by getting the money from the companies which are having the NPAs.
So are we doing that?
No, we can't do that because their profitability is already falling. Their NPAs will in fact rise rather than fall. So my point is that the banks will be in trouble. Banking profitability is going to be hit very badly, and in the last 2 months and for the coming 4-5 months, I don't see banks being able to lend because they're so busy managing cash. Today you go to any bank branch and my mother, who's almost 90 years old, she went to make fixed deposit and the banker said, I don't have time. So he's not taking fixed deposit. She said, I want to do internet banking. He says, I don't have time for all that. I'm only managing cash. So given the problem that the bankers have, and bankers are in serious trouble, so therefore the banking system cannot handle that for the next 4-5 months. And therefore this idea that the interest rate will drop and that will somehow lead to a rise in investment, that's not going to happen because capacity utilization is already down. Bankers are not able to lend money, etc. So therefore these kind of things. Secondly, regarding the inflation also, I think we have to be very clear that inflation decline does not mean benefit to to society because wages have fallen, especially in the unorganized sector. So real wages are falling, and that's why the demand problem will continue in spite of inflation being less.
So we have we've run out of time.
In one minute.
We've run out of time.
It will not
So
take
20 seconds, yeah, okay.
It will not take banks. The trouble with the banks will be over in the next 15 days or so, and there would not be a period of waiting of 4 or 5 months for banks to look at the other things.
Okay.
Flushed with the funds, they have no option but to reduce interest rate. That will give large amount of loans to SME sector, and more jobs will be created, and that will get the economy rolling again.
Okay. So,
Sooner rather than later.
okay, so let's hope Mr. Narendra Jadav's optimism bears out. There are two views as you've seen here, and we'll have to wait and see what happens in 2017. That's all we have in this edition today. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.